Allan, you need to head with intros or start things up or anything? You're not intro with this, but
No, I think we're should be all set. Hello, everybody. My name is Allan Walley. I am the advisor for our Southern Tier Spokesman Self-Advocacy Group, as well as a member of the Southern Tier Spokesman Group. I'd like to introduce you Daniel Flanagan. He comes from Central New York, and he's also an advisor for our Southern Tier Self-Advocacy Group out of Central New York.
Thank you. That works. Yep.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Allan. Yeah, my name is Dan Flanagan, as Allan mentioned. I am the regional coordinator for the Self-Advocacy Association of New York State, regional coordinator here in Central New York. And my thanks to everyone who had anything to do with putting this together today to invite self-advocates to talk about self-advocacy. You're going to hear momentarily from a number of self-advocates about why self-advocacy is important in their lives. I just want to start off by briefly talking a little bit about the organization that we call the Self-Advocacy Association of New York State, or SANS, S-A-N-S. So self-advocacy is, as we all know, it is a verb. It's what people do when they speak up for themselves. It's also a noun. It's also the organization that was created by self-advocates. Oh, I'm sorry. That was created by self-advocates and has flourished for going on 40 years. 1986, a group of self-advocates got together, formed a steering committee, hammered out what an organization made up by and for self-advocates might look like, an organization put together for the purpose of promoting and supporting self-advocacy by people with intellectual and developmental disabilities who receive services from what at the time was OMRDD. Our founder was Bernard Carabello, whom you may recognize that name if you've seen any of the footage that was shot by Geraldo Rivera and his cameraman back in 1972 when they were let in one of the back doors at the Willowbrook Institution. Bernard was a young man who at the time guided Geraldo and his crew through the institution after hours without the knowledge of the administration. So we all know that ultimately led to an injunction, the closure of that institution, and the closure of institutions across New York over the following years. Bernard left the institution, moved out on his own, was hired by OMRDD as a special assistant to the commissioner to advise the commissioner on matters regarding self-advocacy. Bernard pitched the idea to the commissioner that New York State needs an organization made up by and for self-advocates that would support and promote self-advocacy across the state. One of the first projects the new organization undertook was one that we still follow through with today, called the Grassroots Organizing Project. And they started off helping agencies across the state, helping state-run operations and programs across the state, support self-advocacy groups among the people that they were supporting. And to this date, we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 self-advocacy groups across New York. One of them is the Southern Tier Spokesman, which Allan and Robert are going to talk to you more about. Leonard is a member, and that is a group that Allan formed. How many years ago, Allan?
It'll be 7 years now.
7 years ago. Okay. But self-advocacy groups can flourish in the community. They can flourish among agencies like this one. Self-advocacy groups oftentimes rely on the support of agencies to help them with facilitation, logistics. They don't need an awful lot of help coming up with things to say, but having all the pieces in place for them to say it is of immense value. What has self-advocacy accomplished? Well, I refer to the old name of the organization that hired Bernard Carabello back after 1986. In the early decade, the first decade of this century, our board of directors understood that agencies like ARCs and agencies that had that MR in their title, agencies like this one that changed the name of what the initials stood for.
Like the VI.
Yeah. All this had been going on and had largely already been accomplished and completed. Most of the agencies across the nation that governed and oversaw the operations across their states had already taken that MR phrase out of their name. Back around 2008, New York was one of only 2 states in the country that still had the MR phrase in the name of the agency that supported people across New York State. Our board said to the commissioner, at the time it was Tom Mull, and they were on a first name basis. They said, Tom, this is terrible. Why is New York one of the last states to have that MR phrase in their name? And the commissioner said, well, I agree with you, it's terrible. And if I could, I would change it, but I don't have the authority. Even though I'm the commissioner, I don't have the authority to change that. Only the state Senate can do that. So you're gonna have to lobby them. So they did. And over a course of 2 years, it did not happen the first year, but by the second legislative session in 2010, they were successful in getting the name changed to the Office for People with Developmental Disabilities, a name that our board chose, a name that simply put people before the diagnosis. That's the only change they made in that title. Allan and Robert, and I don't know if you are, Leonard, but I know Allan or Robert are self-directing.
Yes, I am.
You are? Okay, cool.
Yes.
We all know that, self-direction has been around for a little over 20 years. Underwent a lot of changes, underwent a few name changes, self-determination, consolidated supports and services. Had a bumpy start, a lot of bumps to iron out, but it was a great idea, and self-advocates recognized it as a great idea at the time. To have the authority and the freedom to choose your services, to hire your own staff, to take your budget, which you have authority over, and take it to wherever you needed to go to find the services that gave you the best benefit. Again, the board of directors of our organization went to the commissioner and said, hey, Tom, all these other states, and they pointed to Minnesota and Oregon, and there were a few others. New Hampshire was big back in those days. All these other states are doing this thing called self-determination. What's up with that? Why is New York not talking about this? And again, Commissioner Mall threw it back onto them, saying, you know, I think that's a great idea, but you're going to have to make me do it. I suggest you learn all you can about this self-determination and come back and help me pitch it to the Division of Budget, because they will be the ones who will determine whether we get to do that or not. So the board applied for a grant from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. They used that grant money to travel around the country, talking to people in states that were already doing self-determination. They spoke to self-advocates, they spoke to parents, they spoke to providers, they spoke to the bureaucrats in the state machine that were put the system together. They learned what was good, what was working, what was not working. They brought all this information back and pitched it in New York. And in the year 2000, Division of Budget approved a pilot project. The pilot project ended early because of the overwhelming amount of demand. People wanted to be in the project. People who got through the initial application, went through all the hoops, and it was formidable. Reported very early on that they really liked this new model of paying for services. Most people, when asked, said we would not go back to the old way. And now, as you're all well aware, that the ranks are growing rapidly among people who want to self-direct. Another accomplishment here in New York, brought about, initiated by self-advocates. Self-advocates have no shortage of issues to talk about. Self-advocacy happens at the life plan meeting. We tell people it's probably the most important time in your calendar year. Those two, at least, life plan meetings that you have, that you have the floor. You are the center of attention. You get to talk about what works for you, what you envision for yourself. Many self-advocates have taken their skills beyond that and are advocating to their communities, OPWDD, New York State government, about where services ought to be heading here in New York, and everywhere in between. So Allan's going to talk a little bit about what the Southern Tier spokesmen have been doing. But I guess I just want to leave you with the notion that SANUS exists to support agencies like yourselves, to in turn support self-advocates that you serve, to help facilitate and guide self-advocacy groups, to listen to self-advocates, to help promote self-advocacy through the concept of the self-advocacy group. It's kind of our bedrock basic unit, aside from the individual self-advocate, which of course is important, but the self-advocacy group is a marvelous unit for helping people learn the skills, the concepts, the actual doing of self-advocacy. Promoting leadership, promoting partnerships with agency administration, particularly partnerships with the DSPs who work on the front lines hand in hand with self-advocates. And so my job is to help you support self-advocacy. It's to help the self-advocacy groups advocate and to work with Allan and Robert and Leonard and all their counterparts across the state. So with that, I will turn it back over to Allan, who will tell you all about what they're doing right here in Binghamton.
Again, my name is Allan Walley. A little bit about myself. My name is Allan Walley. I am from Binghamton, New York. I am a member of the Southern Tier Spokesman Group. Self-advocacy is a big part of my life. I would like to tell you a little bit about myself and my journey to living independently. I was in the institution for 20 years, but since then I lived in the community for about 9 years. I wanted out of the institution for a long time because I wanted the freedom to make my own choices. I wanted to I was introduced to self-advocacy at Broome Developmental Center that taught me that I had a voice. I learned how to use that voice when I heard other self-advocates speaking up for themselves. This gave me the confidence that I needed to get out of the Broome Developmental Center and get on my own and live independently. Some of the resources that helped me were Southern Tier Independent Center, Med Service Coordinator, which is Care Managers now, Office of People with Developmental Disabilities, Access VR, Community Options, and Workforce New York. Of course, I can't leave out my direct support professionals. Without them, I would not probably have been where I'm at now. My broker, some of my goals when I got out was to make my own decisions, to stay local, to get my own driver's license, to get my vehicle and my own car. I wanted a good job. I wanted to learn social skills so I could meet new people and make friends. I'm building a healthy routine and maintaining my lifestyle. I did most of these goals. I did achieve most of these goals with help from my supports. I am still working on some of these goals today. Through the process, I've learned I had a lot of responsibilities to maintain. At one point, I wanted to own my own home. I took a class at Metro Interfaith Housing Management that taught me the responsibilities of owning a home. In the end, I realized that I could not handle that. The experience taught me how to maintain a home and ask for help with things I may want to do that I don't know how to do. I was placed in the community around March 1st, 2014, into my own apartment. Once I was out in the community, I did run into some issues. Shortly after starting my new life, I had 2 former staff from BDC release personal information about my information on Facebook about me that was protected by HIPAA. I had to find a lawyer to support the case of HIPAA was broken by a staff member from BDC. I had asked Dick to see the post and save them. All the posts from Facebook posted from the staff, BDC staff. Thankfully, they had. I had to show proof that HIPAA law was broken from staff from BDC. I had spoken to Sandy's, which is really big, about HIPAA being broken. I also spoken to the commissioner of OPWDD, and let people know that HIPAA was broken from staff from BDC. I was referred to 3 different attorneys before I was able to build a case for court. I was appointed to a lawyer from Disability Rights New York around February 2017. And finally, they helped me build the case and win in court. The lawyer from Disability Rights New York submitted the paperwork to show proof of HIPAA was broken from BDC staff. They submitted the paperwork on February 2017. Staff took a plea. It was settled by October 17. I did win this case. Standing up for ourselves, using your voice does work. Things I am working on today: a healthy lifestyle, my budget, which I struggle. My social skills, it's hard to find real friends, still working on that. Maintaining a good job, well, I am doing that now. I work for Sandy's and I'm actually teaching self-advocacy. Using your voice and asking for help when I need it. Still struggle with that, but I'm accepting that I need help. Accepting myself and liking who I am. Everyone can do this for themselves. I also have Robert Bombs. He is the Self-Advocacy Board member for New York State, and he also has a presentation that he'd like to share.
I am a self-advocate walking in the parade.
Hold on, Robert. Let me hold the mic for you. Where's the speaker at? I don't see it.
Hello, my name is Robert. Self-advocacy is important to me because I want others like me to speak up for their rights. I have been a self-advocate for many years and serving on the SADI's board of directors for 5 years. I am part of self-direction. I help control my services and do many activities each day working on my goals. I also work in my community at Outback Steakhouse. Any questions?
Is that it? So this is the Southern Tier Spokesman Self-Advocacy Group, Allan Walley and Robert Baums. Who we are, we're the Southern Tier Spokesman Group. Southern Tier Spokesman Group is a group of people conspired with individuals with developmental disabilities, like most communities and civil organizations. It has officers elected by the members. Robert Baums is the president of our Southern Tier Spokesman, and Allan is the advisor. Southern Tier Spokesman's mission goals: community outreach, advocacy, and disability awareness. What we do, we speak up for ourselves and our rights. We reach out and speak up for themselves. We educate people about their rights. We reach out to local agencies to start discussions about disabilities and give grassroots presentations. We fundraise with the community for supplies, school scholarships, and more, car washes and bottle drives. We participate in local parades, which we had attended a St. Patty's parade just this past March, and it turned out really good. It was wet, but it was cold, but it turned out right. We attended the Sadie's conferences, 2 conferences that we attend, and of course Dave forgot to mention those up. The regional conference is usually held in May, and it's actually held in Syracuse, New York. And what we do in these conferences is it's a lot of progress and a lot of work and everything, but it's worth it. We do classes, we do presentations. Many people will come and do speaking at the conferences. It's a lot of work, but it's fun. Statewide conferences, that's held up in Albany, New York. And Robert Baums is the board member, so he'll participate in both of those conferences. They do dinner, they do DJs, they do presentations. This year, I think we're trying to talk about the new voting machines that all the places are supposed to get. Let's talk about disability. Why is it important to talk about disability and disability rights? Anybody knows?
To spread awareness.
Yes. Education. It is important to know that it's okay to have a disability. You should be educated about your disability, your rights regarding voting, decision-making, living, available services, staffing, financially, and more. Accessibility benefits everyone. There are a lot of people who benefit from accessibility for many reasons. Individuals who are making aging, who has a disability, who is limited, and more can benefit from having accessibilities wherever they go. Now, accessibility is a big one. Some people may have wheelchairs, some people may have walkers, or some people may have canes that they use. So accessibility is we gotta make sure people have accessibilities to all buildings. And especially transportation, that's a big one. And that's always a big one. That's always on the table. Equality. Individuals with disabilities are considered to be minority groups. It is important for individuals with disabilities and all others to talk about fighting for and speaking up for equal rights and access.
That's us.
What does it mean to be a self-advocate? Anyone know?
I do. Advocacy is when you have to stand up for your rights, stand up for who you are. People have a disability and stuff like that. And it's hard for a lot of people. A lot of people don't have voices. Some might never was a lot of everything, but you have on time using the computer. So that's why I want to advocate for people like that.
Speaking up for yourself and others. Taking control of your own life. Knowing your rights. A lot of people don't know that. How individuals with disabilities are treated versus how we want to be treated. How we are treated. People with disabilities have, for starters, been labeled as different.
What do you mean?
There is a specific language that has been used to describe individuals with disabilities. In the days of institutionalized, individuals with disabilities were numbered. We have been treated following the medical model. This is not what we want. How we want to be treated. We want to express that although we have a disability, we are still people. We do not want to be labeled by harmful words or numbers. We wanted people to use our names. We wanted people to treat us with respect. We wanted people to treat us as equal because in the end, we are all people. How to be an advocate. Speaking up for yourself and others. Voice your opinions. Knowing yourself, who you are, and what is important to you. Educate yourself and others. Create connections within the community and other groups or marginalized population. making decisions for yourself with self-direction, connecting with other advocates, connecting with your electric, elected officials and policy makers. Join a self-advocacy group just like the Southern Tier spokesman. This is the part for questions.
Hey, question. So when the group was formed 7 years ago.
Wait a minute.
Sure.
Hold on a second.
Thank you. I didn't realize we had 2 mics.
Yeah.
Oh, I came prepared.
Oh, yeah, I wish you did.
Okay, testing. So thank you. Just a quick question about history of the Southern Tier Spokesman Group in Binghamton. When you mentioned that you had formed it 7 years ago, what drove you to form it? How did you form it? Who did you reach out to figure out how to practice your self-advocacy work?
When we were in the institution back 8 years ago, we had a large group. The large group was considered as of 8 counties that we cover in this area, which is Broome, Tioga, Shenango, Delaware, Tompkins, Broome, and there's 2 more, I can't remember them all. But we covered 8 counties in this area. When we were in the institution, we had an advisor named Glenn MacGyver. He ran that group. When the institution closed about 7 years ago, back in 2014, is when they started closing down the institutions. Of course, I got articles up here when we closed them down, and I had a big, long story to share with Chuck Schumer. That the groups that we had in the center was actually mandatory groups because it was part of the day have program. When we left the institution, the groups got smaller because everybody's moved out in the community.
That's why.
So that's where I came apart because I was been part of self-advocacy and I've been part of CNEs. I was a board member for about 8 years. And I have formed our Southern Tier Spokesman Group. So we are a small group for now, but we are looking to expand our group, and hopefully we could get more members from other agencies, maybe come join as a group as one, because self-advocacy is really important, and people need to know that. And what we are trying to do is reach out to parents, because parents are sometimes our guardianship of individuals that receive services, and parents need to know what self-advocacy is and why it's so important.
Exactly, that's my point. A lot of people don't understand that, and people need to be advocacy. And I've been with Allan Walley years. I found with him all these years. But
And if you actually saw the video, we have choice video. That's a video that each person that was in that video is a self-advocate at one point or individual that received services and they moved out in the community. And they actually have the supports that they need to live in the community and have jobs. And Robert's like one of them, the ones that he never lived in an institution, but he has the supports that helps him out with jobs and working in the community, joining different activities that he wants to do.
anyway, he recently thing.
How's that getting knocked out?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Robert's more like trying to advocate for more housing for individuals to live in the community. Get rid of the institutions and
Alan, would it help if you guys were in front of the camera so the live streamers can see? Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
The camera drops there. The people watching can see. There you go. Oh, isn't it like?
Yeah. So Robert's board advocated for more group houses, less institutions, less bigger places, because people want to live in the community. We want to be integrated in the community and not be segregated. Living in institutions, we're segregated. So we were locked up and we weren't part of the community. And we didn't want that anymore. We wanted to be integrated in the community and have more choices.
That's why I said, that's why I got out of institution, because I've been in BDC and I've been in group homes, I've been everywhere. And now I got out on my own, and where I am standing today, I am a lot happier. And I'm just telling you the truth, but the truth. I work my behind off and go from there to institution-wise. And institution-wise is harder. It's not easy. And people there is harder. There's telling you when you take a week, when you do everything. And it's not easy. And I've been done it, and I've been in the group homes, the exact same thing. They tell me what to do, not to do, and it's not easy anymore. And now where I am now, I do whatever I want. I get up, go to the bathroom whenever I want, everything else. And I want that. And I stand up myself. And I've been in the advocacy at the BDC, and then I got back out of that. That's why I want to be here today, sitting here, because we all need to advocate people with disability. Gone?
Yeah.
So Robert's talk about locking people up in institutions that we want to get away from locking people up. I know.
Yeah.
So the institutions where people were getting locked up in the institutions were not part of the community. And Robert and the rest of the group wanted to get it away from that and to have more choices and live independently.
So I don't mean to intrude or anything. My name is Francis Reesog, one of the social workers at HCA. I wanted to take this opportunity while the three of you guys are up here, just to see if you might be able to help us understand a little bit what some of the themes in all of your journeys have been. Help us understand, the importance of self-advocacy and how other people with disabilities that we as providers work with can help people be connected to you. Because we understand, based on some of the stuff you were saying, you're really trying to grow the group a lot. And I think I had heard that you were looking to get to some of the younger generation as well and spread self-advocacy for younger folks as well. Could you talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind?
We are trying to reach out to school districts because a lot of people are in schools and they are going to be graduating here and out of school districts and that might have a disability. And we would like to educate the younger generation because us older us older people may not be around too much longer. So we try to reach out to the school districts to educate the younger generation so they can pick up the slack that we can't complete on our own.
Like I was example. I was in the high school, and I have a school back in the day, and people pick on me all the time. So I took myself. I said, okay, I deal with it, and I dealt with it for years. And I said, okay, and then that's why the young populations need to be educated. Because people needs to do like the schoolwork and stuff. They need to know how to feel for advocates.
And reaching out to HCA, which we've been trying for many, many years, because Robert's been pushing me to reach out to you guys, and we've been hard because we've been dropping off flyers, but no one would respond to us. And then Francis came along and he was in Jackie's class and we talked about that and Francis became an HCA member or a staff member. And then he opened up the door for us. And that's why we're here today is to educate the people that work for HCA, but we would like to see if we could come back again and maybe do a presentation for individuals that are receiving services through HCA, as well as coming back and doing the presentation with the parents, because the parents need to know what self-advocacy is and why we're so important and what we're about.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, can I borrow your microphone? Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I think that sounds wonderful. This is actually the first of all of our presentations from the Self-Advocacy Committee here at HCA. We just started getting set up a few months ago at the beginning of this year. So we're really happy to have all of you here, everybody who was able to attend, just to talk a little bit about what self-advocacy is, just do a 101 in the crash course, because yeah, I mean, it's super important, but it's not talked about enough. I wouldn't think, would you agree? Self-advocacy is something that people kind of say is important, but nobody really talks about how to do it.
In this area, yes, because in this area, we used to have a advisor to actually teach that kind of stuff, but that advisors no longer exist. So when we moved into the community as one individual small group, it's not talked enough because there's not enough people educated about our group and knows about our group. Now, in Stan's case, self-advocacies are up there in Syracuse. There's a lot of groups that's up there in Syracuse that is organized by the Syracuse. And a lot of the groups are very active up there, where the southern central is not very common. We have very small groups. We did have at one point a large group, but then it kind of scattered out and broke apart. But we would like to gain those members back.
And then we get everybody back, because back in the day, BDC shut down, and everybody I don't know where I go either. I didn't know exactly where I go.
And I think most important piece is that we need to start doing too is more presentations on different agencies and providers, because there's a lot of providers that are out there that could really assist people with disabilities as well as parents, because there's community options, there's access VR, there's workforce
EPI.
and all those people could come and do presentations on what their little pieces are. And one of the things that I've learned too is that even though a person has a developmental disability and they have a job, not a lot of people are really educated that you can have a job and have a job coach, and it's called a subsidy program that would help people with disabilities. For a good example, there's an ABLE account that's out there that helps people with disabilities to save more money into their bank accounts or in their accounts so they could use their funds to pay for other services that might help them out. Not a lot of people know about that information either. And that's where doing these outreaches and educating people about these will benefit everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there are so many different topics to cover when we talk about self-advocacy. So I'm really looking forward, I think all of us are really looking forward to working more with you and all of your peers as well, you know, in the local community, but also folks a little further out that, you know, of our different counties and stuff. So we can actually start a larger local conversation about self-advocacy.
That's why I want to see, that's why I want to bring them here in this location or somewhere else and do like us did today.
Sure. Which,
You want bigger? Yeah. Bigger place?
oh, at ACA.
Bigger, you want a bigger area?
In the different places HCA has? Is that-
Are
you talking about the restaurant houses?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All the different kinds of services that we do at HCA, you're talking about.
Bring them in here, bring it here somewhere else and just do like a big group and just talk, or everybody sit around the circle. Everybody sit around the circle and talk about it. That'd be a good idea because people like have a disability needs to talk and explain how they feel, like voices and stuff like that, and people don't understand that. And I think it'd be an awesome idea because
So how can people get a hold of your if they wanted to join?
We do have self-advocacy flyers. It's a QR code that you can scan. But I also have my business cards too, so I could actually give out my business cards. And they can
right here, guys.
Robert, Dane's got it right there.
Oh.
Leonard.
Sorry. So that's what the flyers and stuff, that's the advocacy. So there's a link on it, you scan that code and it goes through a Zoom.
So yes. So as what Leonard's saying is that QR code, we actually have meetings in person as well as we do it on Zoom. So if you can't participate in person, you can actually join us on Zoom and participate that way. But I would say the better experience is meeting in person because then you get to, like I will use a good example. When I met with Clifford Crouch and I went in his office and I talked about different things, or I met with Chuck Schumer and I talked to him about the institution and what happened in the institution, about the abuse, about everything that happened on the institution, and things were like swept under the carpet. And when I expressed those things of what was going on, it opened up Chuck Schumer's eyes and some of the other legislators, and they realized that what individuals experience is firsthand, and things were swept under the carpet. So when we were talking about closing down institutions, we had one legislative up in Albany area, and he stated that institutions should stay open because they support people with developmental disabilities. But when I shared him my story, when I saw firsthand, it opened up his eyes. And it made him take second thought and turn around, and then he said, yes, institution should close. And so then, by then, and of course, if you saw the video of Willowbrook, is what actually started the whole thing of closing down institutions, because a lot of the people that lived at the Willowbrook institution, they were in wheelchairs. They were supposed to be in wheelchairs, but instead of being in wheelchairs, they were laying on the floor, or people were throwing French fries down on the floor and having individuals eat off the floor. That is wrong, and that was noted. And like Dan said, Bernard Barinello invited somebody in that institution, and they saw what was going on.
Same at BDC. BDC did the exact same thing. People not eat and stuff like that, and it's hard because people there was people was in the wheelchairs, and they're going to speak. They're going to say hi, how are you? Some people in there is not good. So, like Allan said, I've been there, done it, and I watched that. And Norwich CIT is still open. They're still open till they still going on, right? I think it's open now.
The Norwich CIT is open for individuals that cannot be moved out of the community because one way or another, they do have a crime against them, and they have committed crimes that they can't be out. So the institutions is out there for their safety as well as the community safety.
So that's what everybody do, and that's why. So BDC was the exact same thing. Let's have LIT, material. Let's have locked doors, locked doors, locked bathrooms, room pantries, was just have food and stuff. Let's lock all that. Silverware, spoons, forks, knives, objects, whole 9 yards. Let's lock in the things. We gonna get to it. And like us going to the bathroom every day, I was had to tell them, hey, I was going to the bathroom. And that's not good. And same with people in the wheelchairs, in the bathrooms. Some people gonna do that. It's hard because people in wheelchairs need help. And instead go over here and hide in there, or go in that woods, or go over there, and that's not helping them. So that's why people need help in that situations. That's why I'm here, right here, in this room right now, standing, because BDC was very hard, and being back memories and stuff like that. But that's why I advocate for that, and I'm still doing it today. Same with the group homes. The group homes, I was in a group home, and ABI is a new company, popular company, and let's have a young population, and I got that taken care of, and where I am here right now, because they changed the name, because I did it most of the work. And I trained staff how to show people out there. And people out there was there about walls and stuff. And then those got out in the community, and then everything is shut up. And EPI had 2 houses, now there's have 3 houses. There's one is in Binghamton, and one is in the Pigeon, St. Forks area. And I was in the Pigeon house first, in St. Forks. And I transferred from Pigeon to over here in the car. And that's have the first house. There's a couple of individuals, and that's have real issues. So that's why I bring this to attention for everybody. And I'm honest.
I got a question for you guys, actually, if you don't mind. So, thank you for sharing your stories, so for all of you guys. It's really, really important for us to be able to like actually show people the human stories behind some of the things we're talking about. And I think on that, it sounds like a lot of what you've been talking about so far is that you form really strong bonds with your peers over the years when you live in the same place as somebody for a long period of time. And then when you move out of that setting,
It's
it
hard.
could be isolating. It could be, and
It's hard.
I know for folks, especially the past few years with COVID-19 and all that, it's been even more isolating than usual. So, despite all that, how do you maintain and foster those peer relationships that are so important for the work you guys do?
How I do that is, so I like I said, it took me a long time, because from I live in my house now, so it's a way for us to call people, socialize that way. And COVID is actually name, that year was,
Nobody had a good time.
nobody have a good time. I still was in a group at that time. And us had to wear masks, staff had to wear masks, was different. And then I got out of there and moved in my own apartment August before I got out there. And was hard because people have that connection with yourself. And I talk my friends still, but most of them, that's how people get out there. So why I bring the attention, that's how I advocate for everybody. Everybody is staff too, because staff needs to know what I'm doing. I've been doing it a lot of years. And I'm trying to be on board and Allan's board, and I want to advocate for people with disability, plus in the wheelchairs. He can't talk, so he have a computer. I have a hard time reading. That's one of my disabilities. And no one is I'm born with a cup up, so it's hard to be talk to people. So that's why I advocate for people. So that's why like social skills, like I social skills with Allan all the time. Say, hey Allan, what's on movies? Hey Allan, do something. And stuff like that. He is awesome. He us have staff helping us do, and his staff helping us to be successful. Us have goals, like working goals. And there's one of the goals is socialize. That's one of the goals. Me and Allan does it.
Support it.
Yeah.
We gotta have those connections, right?
Yeah,
We gotta have peers.
that's what happened.
Some of the other groups I had joined is, it's called the Southern Tier Bridges. And it's all people with disabilities, and
Oh, yeah, I want to talk about that.
that's a good social group. But I also, The other group I also started attending is, it's called the Makerspace.
Yes, I want to talk about that word.
Hold on, Lenny, cut me off. So Lenny got me connected with the Makerspace, and I saw some of the projects that they do down there, and it's a project that I like doing. I love working with wood, so I joined, and I just started joining as of this month, and it's paid out of your budget. You can have it direct paid through your services.
And so Makerspace, so what that does is us have 3D printers, workshop area. Let's have outdoor appointment. So they hook up this out 3D printer and let's have to glue it too on that. And I made a pen, like a pen pen. I would, so it's with the power tools and stuff like that, and let's have wood, metal blade, your rules for like metal, your rules are like cutting metal stuff and making like a piece, and you have to do a safety class. For our appointment, that's what I did. So that's varies, the money varies, comes out of your budget. So like, and it is 24-hour access. 24-hour access from, I said, about 2 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock in the morning, or 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night.
Wow, no kidding.
So it's open 24 hours. Let's have a key fob. And there's a booth. You have to swipe it. And let's have boxes around the whole building. And the boxes have a key. You have access, you turn that machine on. So you have to do a safety class. Our program is different. It's all basically painting and all that, and socialize. Same with the bowling area I was going to, Brendan Sims, let's have a DJ comes and having DJ the same with Makerspace. What they do is socialize in the community. And same with the bowling. There's a big group for people with disability and stuff like that. Want to say something about it? You want to help?
We can help you out, Robert.
Okay. So what Robert's trying to show is, and there's a class that is participated in through Syracuse. It's called the Sandy's U class. Dan can talk a little bit more about that. And it's a Sandy's U class that you could take, and they'll teach you about Sandy's U. And then once you complete the course, at the end, there's a small little project that you do, and to talk about what you learned and what you had experienced. And then at the end of the sessions is you get a certificate at the end. And that certificate will say that you completed all courses of the Sandy's U class, and then you'll be able to take that and teach other people about Sandy's U. Dan?
Well, you covered it pretty well. I don't want to take time away from your presentation because I can pass on information to send you to.
Okay.
Anybody. Yes, sir.
Have you got any more questions?
I mean, I could do this all day, so I do definitely have a lot of questions.
You guys have any more questions?
Thanks, Robert, that was a good point. I didn't even think of that. I hadn't heard about that.
If someone was interested in those conferences, where would they go to find information and sign up?
There's actually a sansu.org. It actually covers all the states of New York. They could also contact Daniel Flanagan, which I have a business card for you guys. They could also contact me. And they could get information through all of us. And if they are willing, there's a cost for the conferences. But I don't know what the cost is this year, because I think last year was.
Well, depends on which one you're referring to. There are two main conferences that self-advocates are invited to. The statewide conference that will happen in October, it's the 26th, 27th, and 28th of October. We also have a regional conference which we're in the process of planning. We don't have a date set for it. We're shooting for early June. And that will take place in Syracuse. We're looking for a new venue, so I can't even tell you where it will be held. We may revert back to our old venue, which is the Carnegie Conference Center, which is in the Drivers Village complex, just north of Syracuse. For a couple of reasons, due to accessibility and transportation, we are looking at a couple of venues within the city of Syracuse. So those two conferences are the primary conferences that a self-advocate would be invited to join. Each region puts on a conference, there's no exception. In addition to that, though, we are always agreeable to host a small mini conference in various parts of the region, depending on where there's interest. Some of the groups along the Mohawk Valley, for instance, have held mini conferences in the past, a Saturday afternoon, bring in guest speakers, come up with a list of workshops, areas that they'd like to learn more information about. Sunday afternoon doing that. We have had a couple of them here in Binghamton prior to COVID. We have oftentimes done them in conjunction with other events such as our board elections. So we've had a couple of events held at the main conference room over at SIG. And if there was interest in putting together an event like that here in Binghamton, with self-advocacy from various agencies, we would certainly work to make that happen.
Well, talking about that, Robert's board position is going to be ending here this fall. So we probably will be having a mini conference here in the fall to hold elections for Robert's board seat. So that will be an opportunity for people to come and participate at a conference here in Binghamton.
The statewide conference is the one that is the most costly. It transpires over 3 days in October. Last year, the registration fee for that was just under $300 for the entire conference. Now, there are reduced rates if people just want to come. And then on top of that, of course, there is the hotel expense. People that come from for one day, if they live close enough, can fare back and reducing the cost a little bit. The regional conference, because it's so difficult for people to travel, generally attracts self-advocates from the Syracuse area. A few folks like Allan have made the trek up to Syracuse. A few folks from Overton come down to Syracuse. But because it's so difficult for us, and we are a large region, I didn't mention this earlier, but the central region of New York in terms of the boundaries that Self-Advocacy has determined for its regions, mirror pretty exactly the regions that OPWDD has delineated. So central region is in effect all of Region 2 in terms of OPWDD. So we have self-advocates up in the Sunmount area who find it very difficult to pound the surface. We have self-advocates our ways to Plattsburgh. So that's why we will go out of our way to make smaller encounters happen in various regions and areas. That's something we can always talk about.
Thank you, Dan.
This is a question back there as well.
Yeah, I came in a little bit late, so please disregard if this has already been answered. But are there any upcoming events that the Southern Tier spokesmen have that they're excited about?
Not that I can think of right now, but we will be.
I was thinking of,
Actually, we do have a meeting coming up this Thursday. So, and it goes from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And it will be at the 28th. It'll be 67 Washington Street at the Binghamton University downtown. And anybody is welcome to come and participate and know what we're, come learn what we are doing. And I want to also introduce you. Quinn, come on up.
oh, I have to come up.
Come on up.
Hey, Gwen, come up.
I want to introduce you Quinn Sterling. They are the internship for the Binghamton University students, and they are the ones that's coming and participating in our group and helping our group out. We're hoping to expand our group, and I'll let they say what they do for our group.
Yeah, my name is Quinn Sterling. I use they, them pronouns. I am a social work intern at in the master's program at Binghamton University. And my role is really just helping support the Southern Tier spokesman with, facilitating meetings, putting on events and things like that, but definitely a supporter role. I think behind me there, I think that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think that's it.
That's it, everybody.
Does anybody have any big other questions they can think of?
Anybody else have any questions?
Here we go.
Let me just add, Alan, that you guys have had some discussions about organizing an event to commemorate the Americans with Disabilities Act. And we've talked about this at some of the meetings, and Southern Tier spokesman would love to see a formal celebration take place somewhere in downtown Binghamton, perhaps in front of City Hall, around the anniversary of the signing of the ADA in late July, wherein local officials will be invited to talk about the importance of people with disabilities in the community, the contributions made by people with disabilities, and how the ADA has helped promote that, has made many of these contributions possible that were not possible prior to that law being in existence. And so the Southern Tier spokesmen are reaching out to agencies to see who would like to form a coalition of sorts to approach the city and the county and see if it would be possible to hold a formal declaration in support of the ADA and to raise awareness among the community as to the importance of that piece of legislation in the lives of so many people.
Thank you. Can you see us? Can you see us now? We're good. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if you have any other final thoughts, like one message you want people to walk away from this from?
The other thing that we are really advocating for, and maybe all of you guys could also help out with this too, is contacting the local legislative, Chuck Schumer, and maybe even Mark Marinero. And what we are building the case on right now and with arguments is it's called the ACP program. I don't know if everybody knows what that is.
There's
But the
a board.
hold on, Leonard, you keep cutting me off. The ACP program is the Affordable Connectivity Program that helps with people with disabilities or people that are in financial crunches where they can't afford to pay cell phone bills or even internet connections. It's a program that helps out those kind of things. And we need to contact the legislators about that because that's important that people need to have some kind of self-service. So if anything happens, that they have connections, whether it's to a family member or to a doctor, or even to an emergency squad where they can come and assist people when they need help. I've had written a long letter to Chuck Schumer. He did respond to my email, as well as I spoke to him over the phone about the situation. And they're saying, he stated that there's another agency, another legislative that is helping out with this case, but we need to really try to get people on board and help advocate for that.
And push forward.
And one thing I will educate people on is we may have one voice, but if we have a group of 400 to advocate for this, then more likely the legislators are going to hear which side? The 400 people rather than one person. Because then there's many individuals that are advocating for the same thing. And they're going to hear that group louder than one person.
And there's, like he said, there's one person, not like us have a big group of us and push for it and push it. Because people do need phones, like call 911 or somebody get hurt or somebody on an accident or somewhere. And people need that phone. What a lot of people.
At a car.
Transportation?
Yeah.
Oh, you need more transportation?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Like buses? Cars?
Yeah.
More cars?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Need people drive?
More transportation.
More transportation?
Yeah.
Buses?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to push that forward too. I was trying to get more transportations like buses, trains, like train from Buffalo to Binghamton, they don't have. They don't have from Binghamton to Buffalo, they don't have. You have to drive all the way down to Buffalo, get on the train and go downstate. They don't have up here. And stuff like that. And the people have wheelchairs, they do have wheelchairs, buses, but not a lot. They stopped doing that because there's not enough money to pay for drivers to drive the buses. And those do need transportations. And staff needs to get raises. That's another thing we're trying to push. There's raises for staff.
I know that right now they're trying to push for a cost of living increase for DSPs and stuff. That's the talk of the town recently. It's really important. Sure, I'm sure you guys agreed.
Yeah, and I was trying to get that going, and I was trying to get one more thing I was trying to do. What else? I don't remember. Well, I was trying to push through. I was got one more thing. I was in translation, and one more.
Well, there's a couple. There's Practice Act that we're trying to push for.
The meds.
And also, like if a person has a disability and they need help with their medications, and say if they want to go to attend their conferences and stuff, that we're trying to get so staff could be passed that they can give out the medications to assist individuals that need it.
Yeah, like, staff, we couldn't do meds at all, like, people can't, staff can't say, hey, you can't get meds. We're trying to push that through because people need meds.
So they can be out instead of having to go back home just for meds?
Yes.
Okay,
So like, I use an example, so I'm out here and I need my meds, and I have to go all the way back home to get my meds.
and then you gotta come all the way back out, which
Exactly.
makes transportation a lot harder to get as well.
Exactly,
So there's a lot of things involved in all of that.
exactly.
There's a lot of factors.
And staff, what staff had to, so staff get trained on meds and get certified. It's not happening like that, it's supposed to. And Springwood, chapter charities, all that, are self-direction. We're trying to get that too because us need people to do that.
Right, makes sense.
And I think that's it.
We can give us the contact info for folks, I guess, in closing.
So as I am a self-advocacy advisor, I'm hoping to see all of you come and participate at our self-advocacy meeting.
Oh, we got one more question. Go ahead, Al.
Oh, sure. For 1 minute?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm Lisa from HCA, and I just wanted to take a minute to thank everybody for coming. So we wanted to form a group to work on supporting you as self-advocates and your groups. So we have a committee that was formed this year, and I just want to introduce them so they can get some recognition for putting this together. So we know Francis up here, and in the back, Emily, Christy, and Lauren. So that's our committee that's working on putting together a series this year, and you guys are our very first series, so we're super excited to do this, and we're so happy that you could join us to help talk about what you're doing, and we're happy to support you in any way that we can to expand your group and to get your ideas and everything out there. So we'll put your contact information up on our social media so that people can get a hold of you and join your group. And then we had some helpers on the tech side. We have Alexis back there and a couple others, Brian and Mary Claire, who helps kind of get the tech side together for everybody. So thank you to everybody who came. Thank you to the guests. Thank you to our committee. Thank you to our self-advocates. And we hope to see everybody at the next one and bringing more people with them, right?
Who should people reach out to if they have any questions? Like, should they call a phone number or email or something? What do you think?
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, they can contact us at HCA, and if they want it, and they can get the information about Allan's group, or we're happy to be a help to get the information out for the groups that we want to support, like yours.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
One last thing I'd like to say is if there's a policy planning at HCA, and if they want a self-advocate member to be part of that policy making or decisions, I wouldn't mind being part of that and helping out.
Me too. Me too.
Please grab snacks.
We got all of the here.
Welcome.